Hello and welcome to TV9 Digital. And this is Rohit Bhardwaj here. Uh, our guest is Saurav Ghosal here, the former national champion and now the winner of 10 PSA titles with his Malaysian Open win. So, Saurav, if you could relive those moments from Malaysia and how things turn around for you in Malaysia.
Firstly, thank you for having me. It's a pretty landmark event for Malaysia and as a country as well. This is the first sporting event that Malaysia is hosting since the pandemic. Things were quite tight in terms of me coming as well. I in fact got my visa on the way to the airport in London on my way here. Now that I actually did make it here, of course, I'm super happy that I managed to win this event, and it's quite a prestigious title. It's been going for 40 years. I think it was just about taking it one day at a time, playing the different players that I was supposed to play. I think something that I'm quite happy about is that I managed to play different types of games against the different opponents that I had, and that's something that I've been working on over the last couple of years. Because I feel like that's going to help me go deeper into the bigger events in the draws.
So, any changes in your game or something in the strategy or the way you approach a particular tournament that has changed in the couple of years or in the couple of months that actually helped in this turnaround for you?
I think a couple of things. One, I think mentally, I just believe a lot more strongly in what I'm capable of. I think now when I go into matches, doesn't matter who I'm playing, whether it be the world number 1 or the world number 25. I genuinely believe that if I can produce and execute the level of squash that I'm capable of, I can win. So I think that's been a shift over the last 3 to 4 years, I would say. The other thing, like I mentioned earlier, is I've been working on adding new elements to my game so that I can execute different plans and play different types of games depending on who I'm playing against. Because every player, has their own strengths and weaknesses, and you kind of need to play different types of patterns to play against different players.
Or a new coach for you, or you're training on your own?
I think one of the main people who've made me the player I am today is Malcolm Wilstrop, who I trained with in Pontefract in England for a very long time. Unfortunately, he passed away earlier this year. But especially what I did in the final has a lot to do with what he instilled in me over the time that he did coach me. And it's something that's carried me in good stead for a very, very long period of time on the professional tour. Over the last 3.5 years, I've been training with David Palmer as well, who's the former world number 1 and world champion. I think he's added a few elements to my game and almost adding icing to a cake. I think that's what he's done. I think tactically he's helped me a lot. The things I spoke about in terms of adding different elements on top of the game that I had to be able to execute different tactics and plans is something that we've worked on, David and myself, quite strongly, and that has really helped me. So I think on the squash side of things, those two people, have been the biggest contributors to my success.
You came close to winning a gold in Asian Games in 2014, and you won the team gold, but individually you won the silver. So next year is the Hangzhou Asian Games coming up. What are your plans? How are you going to prepare for it? How do you plan to go about it for the Asian Games coming up next year?
Yes, so next year is obviously a big year. We have both the Commonwealth and Asian Games, so that's a big year for us. We also do have the World Championships, which have been slated for May. So we have the World Championships in May, the Commonwealth Games in end July, early August, and then the Asian Games in September. I think the scheduling for my events is definitely going to be based around how best I can be mentally and physically fresh for those 3 events. I think going back to David in America, where he's based right now, is something definitely on the cards. I think at the same time, I'm going to try and focus and do well at the big events because creating precedent in terms of results, that's the best body of work that you can have going into big events, because that gives not only you the self-belief that you can actually win these events, but also lets the rest of the world know that you're playing at a level which is good enough to win.
If I may ask, since 2017, when you got married, how have things changed in terms of how are you balancing your travel? Because as a player, you keep traveling for events across the globe. And how are you managing your personal life? Because earlier, when you were a bachelor, things would have been different. Now you have to obviously give time to your family. How has that been? How supportive has been your family for all? Because obviously, that is like interviewing so many of the athletes, the amount of support they receive from the family also translates into success. And I'm sure this success that of yours would be one of the very background to that success would be the support that you would have got from your family members, I'm sure.
Yeah, look, getting married in early 2017, my wife is super supportive. She's never one to complain about me traveling. So I don't think that really kind of changed the landscape in terms of which tournaments I went to or was a factor in all of that.
Right.
In fact, I think I've been out a bit more since I got married. I think what's changed or what caused things to change a little bit is the pandemic. I think over the last year and a half, every time I do go out because of all the restrictions in terms of travel, I'm ending up going out for like 2 months, 2.5 months, which isn't easy.
In 2013, there was a huge campaign for supporting squash and making it part of the Olympic Games. Sachin Tendulkar to all these top stars actually supported you guys in getting squash included in the Olympics. Uh, what kind of help or what kind of what do you call change it would bring to squash if squash would have been selected in the Olympic Games, or it does in the next couple of Olympic Games?
Look, being in the Olympic Games is a big honor. It is the biggest sporting platform on the planet, and I think squash players are one of the best athletes in the world, and they do deserve to showcase what they're all about on the biggest sporting platform the world has to offer. It's regrettable and really unfortunate that we're not in the Olympics. We probably don't have clear-cut reasons given to us as a sport as to why we're not there. But obviously the IOC has its reasons. I think if we were to be in the Olympics, I think, like you said, it would probably increase the exposure of the sport, especially during the Olympic years, which would help give the impetus to kind of take it to the grassroots a little bit more. And then, you're part of like a cycle which helps with the corporates, the government. Money comes in, more people play it, and then it just keeps adding on from there.
Like obviously, squash is already part of most school curriculums, and most developers in their buildings, they are creating squash courts and indoor facilities. And being an indoor sport, squash is like played almost in every second apartment or every second home and every other school. Still, do you think that it has grown to the level you would expect it to grow, or there is a lot of work remaining on part of the federation, on part of the government to do something to popularize the sport?
No, of course, I don't think anyone should be happy with where we are at. I think we've definitely made progress over the last decade or two. It's definitely a lot better in terms of numbers than what it was when I started playing squash almost 25, 27 years back. But I think there are things that can be done better. It might be in school curriculums today, but there is, I don't think, or at least I'm not aware of any proper structure in terms of getting the kids through that curriculum and into like proper training programs, so that they get the opportunity to kind of play events and move forward from there. I think in terms of private apartments and developers that you spoke about, I think we're talking primarily about tier 1 cities. I think tier 2 and tier 3 cities probably don't have that kind of access. India is a massive country. I think we need to look at going into the smaller cities as well. I'm sure there's a lot of talent in those cities as well. It's not just that
Right.
sports people are born in Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, Chennai, and Bangalore.
True.
There are other cities in the country
I agree.
which probably might produce the next champion. So I think that's something that we need to look into. Also, I think we need to do our best to kind of get it on TV as much as possible in the country. I think TV is a great medium to kind of popularize anything, and popularizing a sport is always great through TV.
After this Malaysian Open, what are the next line of events for you building on to the Commonwealth Games next year? What are the top events that you are going to enter into, and what are the next events that you are going to play?
So right now I'm still in Malaysia for the next couple of weeks. We have the Asian teams and the world teams over here. So hopefully we're going to do well as a country and as a team in those two events. In terms of the big events slated for early next year, I would say there's the Platinum events, which are obviously the biggest ones. We have the Tournament of Champions in New York in January, the Windy City Open in Chicago in February, the British Open in April, and the World Championships in May. I think those are the really big ones. And then obviously we have the Commonwealth and Asian Games in July and September. There are a few other kind of next level ones in England and a few more in America.
So that was Saurav Ghosal for you. We will be bringing you more news and updates and interviews of top athletes on News 9 and TV9 digital platforms. Thank you for following us and watching us.